Yo, what's going on, man? It's your boy Rick Taylor from Rick Taylor Entertainment, back with another episode of the Rap Draft, man. I'm here with a special guest today, man. The one and only, man, Promise P. Rock. What's going on with you, man?
What's good, boy?
Not much, man. Welcome on the show.
Thanks for having me.
For sure. Welcome to the podcast, man. It's your first time on here. Everything is God's timing, and I appreciate you for coming.
Of course.
And I like to start it off with let the people know who you is and what you do.
Yeah. For most people they'll be familiar with me from my radio gig. You know what I'm saying? So I currently host the morning show, The Morning Grind with Promise on High 105.7, which is a newer station in the city in Milwaukee. Also, I'm a stand-up comedian, MC and host a lot of different events around the city. Some people might see me at Pfizer doing some Bucks games as well. Also involved in the nonprofit industry in the city, vice president of the new state, Westside Arts Unlimited. We got a project we doing on the near west side, which is renovating a space and making it all ages music hub and just a space, really not even just music, just for arts and just to give especially a lot of young people an outlet, somewhere to go, somewhere to thrive. So got my hands in a little bit of everything in the city.
All right, man, that's dope, man. You're a busy man, dog. And it's crazy because I met you a long time ago.
Facts.
You know what I'm
I remember.
Yeah, I used to work at Arby's, man. That was like 2015, 2014 and all that stuff, man. And you was doing your thing then. And then, I think that was like the beginning when you was finna get ready to get into the radio.
So the crazy thing, when we met, like you said, you was at Arby's, and at that time, I wasn't even doing radio full time yet. I was my day gig. I was working at a credit union. Yeah. So I came in on the lunch break, and me and you used to chop it up. Yeah. But yeah, at that time, I still was focused on my music. Because some people might know me from when I was rapping as well. And then I hadn't even got to full time radio. That happened within the next year or two when I started doing radio full time. But at that time when we met, I still have my 9 to 5.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. That's crazy. How the universe worked. And I met you then, and then to see we both doing something different. Right. That's crazy, and it's a full circle, man. You mentioned the music, man. But before we get into that, man, let me ask you this. Let's tap into your background. Okay. Was you born and raised here?
Born and raised in the 414. Yep.
Okay. Now, where did you grow up at, and how was your childhood in Milwaukee?
Man, I lived, I can't never really claim a block or a particular area. We lived in a lot of different places when I was a kid. So my mom's side of my family is from the Mill. My pop's side is from New York. So I'm half and half. But yeah, I was born and raised, grew up here. Man, we lived on Villard to Meadows, you know what I'm saying? We lived on Mill Road, lived off stayed with my grandma for 26. We lived all around stayed with my auntie in Berryland. That's why I said I can't never really claim a neighborhood or a block because I lived in so many different places in Milwaukee, you know what I'm saying? So I just really feel like I'm from the city. I live somewhere everywhere. But man, for the most part, I would say an average growing up, you know what I'm saying? We wasn't poor, but we definitely wasn't rich. You know what I'm saying? My moms and pops, when they were together, they did the best they could to make sure we had the things that we needed. When my moms and pops split, my mom pretty much raised me. But then, like I said, I spent some time staying with my aunt in Berryland. She had a hand raising me, spent some time staying with my grandmother. So I had really strong women around me, you know what I'm saying? Older cousins who was in the streets doing stuff that they shouldn't have been doing, but they wouldn't allow me to involve myself in those type of things. So they was more so take your ass to school, do what you need to do. Even when I wanted to skip school and to be on bull, they wanted me to do, different things. So like I said, for the most part, man, grew up pretty normal. Like I said, we didn't have a ton of money, but I had a lot of love growing up, and I knew that people cared about me, and my parents also instilled the love of God in me. So a lot of that kept me focused.
That's the most important part right there, the love, bro. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Somebody to have people around you who love you to steer you away from doing wrong or and to just spend time with you and stuff like that. That means a lot, bro. Now, as far as the music, because you was an artist as well, I remember that. What inspired you to get into music?
Well, even going back to being a kid, being a shorty, music was always around us. So, we grew up in a church. So my first introduction to music really was gospel. My pops, when he was in our home, he really wasn't big on us listening to what you would call secular music or whatever. So I grew up in the church. And then my cousins, they had like the bad house, but I could go get everything from over there. So from video games to listening to music to movies, chicks, you know, magazines, they had everything at their crib. So my cousins really would play a lot of rap for me. And then my siblings, I got some older siblings, like they was into like rap, you know what I'm saying? But even from my parents though, like listening to like, you know, besides gospel, you know, hearing like soul music, funk, stuff like that, like that attracted my young mind. And then like I said, my cousins playing a lot of rap for me. So, you know, like especially being a kid in the 90s, like, you know, a lot of gangster rap was popping at the time. But then, you know, I liked Outkast, you know what I'm saying? Started listening to stuff like No Limit and Pete and, you know, Nas, Jay-Z, Snoop, you know what I'm saying? And then people from around the Midwest, you know what I'm saying? Like Twista and Bone. So I listened to really a lot of everything. And then as I kept getting older, my mind expanded to where I started listening to things beyond just the surface rap, you know what I'm saying? I started digging into crates, finding out about different artists, looking at production credits, reading magazines, XXL Source. So as a kid, I was that dude hanging posters on the wall, watching Rap City, 106 in Park, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that era really had me getting into music because I really was into sports a lot. And then it went from pulling off the posters of the athletes and the hoopers to putting up the rappers and the singers and the models, you know what I'm saying? My room transformed.
Yeah, and that's facts, man, because I mean, I feel like Rap City really play a hand in a lot of our, like, you know, even me doing this right here, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I was an artist too before, and I just always wanted to have that platform for artists to come to and spit or just tell their story, you know what I'm saying? Let me ask you, like, what is the difference between when you was doing music to the music now?
I mean, it's always gonna be different pockets, no matter what era hip hop it is. Like when I was first one to rap, you know what I'm saying? I grew up, like you said, watching some of those things, watching Rap City, watching, you know, reading in the magazines, The Vibe, The Source, XXL, like, and it always was stuff that people may like or might not like in hip hop, but people feel like, you know, the 90s was the best era of rap. Some people feel that way, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe the early 2000s, and since then it kind of shifted. So for me, originally, I just wanted to have a voice, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't in the streets, so I wanted to be like, well, how can I rap about my life? You know what I'm saying? Even though I related, I was adjacent to the streets, but I didn't involve myself. So it's like, how could I speak and have my voice? I felt like it wasn't until like now you got Cole, you got Crit, you got Wale, more rappers who are dope but didn't rap about street life. And even Drake, you know what I'm saying? He ain't really a street dude like that, even though he dibble. But at one point, you didn't have a lot of mainstream rappers that wasn't portraying the street life, you know what I'm saying? Or if they did, it was quote unquote corny. So for me, originally rapping, I just wanted to rap about my city, you know what I'm saying? Milwaukee, for a long time, we was always underdogs. So I wanted to rap about where I was from, but also be like, I ain't on the block, I ain't selling dope, I ain't busting straps, but I'm still fresh, I still can get girls, I'm still that dude, but I don't got to do these things. So I really just wanted to have my perspective on music initially when I wanted to rap. And again, I wanted to go against the grain of whatever was popular at the time when I was rapping, you know what I'm saying? So I was like in between. I wasn't trying to be quote unquote a backpack or a conscious rapper, but I wasn't trying to be bang bang shoot 'em up. So I was like in that thin line of, I know what's popping, but I ain't per se a part of it. So that was initially what I wanted to do as a rapper. And then and bars, I've always been about bars, you know what I'm saying? Like we could have fun, we could turn up with rap, but I always like rap that had substance. To me, the dopest rappers was the ones who was well-rounded, who could do a little bit of everything. So that's what my goal was when I was rapping. And then I kind of started seeing, you know, things shift to where it was more so about dumbing it down or simplifying it, or people not caring as much about bars and substance. And for me, that, just from an artist standpoint of a fan, that kind of was a turn off to me. I understand all aspects of hip hop and music, especially working in media and radio, but just from the essence of it, I was just like, damn, people don't care much about content, concepts, creativity, and bars as much no more. So and plus I always had one foot in radio, so even when I was being an artist, some people didn't know I was working part-time in radio trying to do my music thing. So I would always hide it, which was weird. Like, people who knew I rap, I didn't want them to know I had radio ties. People who knew me from radio, I would be quiet about my rap ties. But whereas where I see it now, Milwaukee has, as far as in the city, it's probably the most vibrant it's been, you know what I mean, just as far as people actually gravitating and rocking with music from the city. I remember it was times where like people wouldn't listen to music from Milwaukee, or we would get trashed about our own music. But now, whether you like it or you don't like it, just a wave of people listening to more Milwaukee music, whether it's in the cars, the clubs, radio, on the block, like people are more in tune with the city. I also think though that there is way more sounds and styles in Milwaukee. I think sometimes we get put in a box, but I think it's way more different sounds and styles in Milwaukee. So I think it's growing, you know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying? And you're right about that. It's a lot of different styles. It's just like one get overlooked because, you know, that's what's popular. But
you know, people like to ride waves, bro, whether it's nationally or locally. Like the rap game has always been about, originally it was about originality, being your own person, but then at a certain point people start wanting to ride waves. If something works for this artist or this person or this region, people gonna gravitate and try to duplicate it.
Yeah, and that's what we want to sell, because you see it selling and stuff like that. But it's a lot of different styles, man, different genres and dope artists, man, here in the city that y'all probably hear on the radio one day soon. You never know. Let me ask you this, like, what kind of got you into wanting to be into radio? Like, you know, where did that passion come from?
Man, like I said, just with the music, just in general, I always just been a fan of hip hop, of course, and then loving music and all genres in general, but specifically like R&B, hip hop, soul, jazz. I just always was into music and into entertainment. So initially, like I said, as a kid, I wanted to be a rapper. I wanted to be an artist. And, you know, I was fooling around with that all through college and in my 20s. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to focus on the rap game. But besides rapping, I had developed an interest in radio while I was in college. So as a kid, like most of us, we all grew up listening to the radio. In the neighborhood. I would, you know, mimic and do a fake radio show with the homies on the block, or we'd just do different stuff. So I kind of like, I didn't know I would do it as a career, but just fooling around, playing around in the hood, on the block. We do different little skits and stuff, like acting like we're on the radio, listening to the radio, trying to make mixtapes and stuff off the radio. That was me as a shorty. And then when I got to college, I went to Carroll University in Waukesha. When I first got there, they took me on a tour. And I remember when we was touring the campus, they walked me into the campus center, and in the basement, I seen a radio station. And I was like, yo, like, what's this? And it's like, oh, it's our school station. I said, who can have a show? They said, any student. I said, what can your show be about? They said, anything you want your show to be about. And the light bulb just went off, you know what I'm saying? So when I got to school that fall, I had a radio show, and I was trash when it first started, tragic. But that's where like the beginning essence came from, like the origin, I should say. Like I kind of was like, man, maybe I should fool around with this. And I'm the type of person, if I attempt to do something, I'm gonna work my hardest and my damnedest to try to be the best at it, you know what I mean? If I can't be the best at it, then I don't think I should be doing it. So I kept working at it, man, each semester, improving, winning most improved radio personality. I ended up having one of the most highest rated shows on campus. Then they gave me show of the year one semester, and it's like each year just kept growing to where I learned how to start interviewing people, figuring out playlists and music and different things like that. So that's kind of where it started. Again, I didn't foresee it being a career. I was just fooling around in school, but that's where it started.
Okay, and that's dope, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I like that you like let people know that when you started off, you wasn't as great as how you is now, because things take time. You know what I'm saying? It's a process, and like I said, you're good at what you do, bro. Like I said, I'll be like, man, I'll be listening to radio, like, man, my boy Prime is going crazy on the radio, and it fits you. You know what I'm saying? You always had that personality.
And that's the thing, too, like, figuring out, like, your voice, right? Like, what are you going to say? What's your tone? What's your persona on the air? Like, things like that. Originally, you know, a lot of people, they think they got to have a radio voice, so they got to be like this character, you know? Like, people think it's like you know, like, for some people, that may be the thing. But for me, I was like, how could I translate? How can I just be me on the air? So when I first got on the air, of course I still was rapping. So at the end of every show, I remember, like you mentioned Rap City, we grew up on that. Big Ticket would do the booth, you know, all the rappers would get in the booth. 106 Park had Freestyle Friday. So on every show, my show at the time was twice a week, I would freestyle at the end of every show. You know what I'm saying? I had an assistant at the time. She would pick a number between 1 and 20. We had play a random beat that matched that number, and I would just freestyle. So it was like I was blending, because I've always been a fan of hip hop culture. So even if I'm an artist or I'm not an artist, I'm always a fan of the culture. So I was like, okay, how can I do my show, talk about topics, take calls, crack jokes, have fun, but then let me go ahead and drop bars at the end of every show. So like that was all the origins of me kind of combining all my elements at that time. Right,
man. That's crazy. It preps you for where you at now, man. Speaking of radio and where you at now, you started off on V100, right?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So most people, if they familiar with me, got a hold of me at V100. But prior to that, I definitely had some different beginnings before I got to the V, but most people know me from V100. So again, I was focused still on being an artist, but doing so I had a 9 to 5, which like when I met you, working at a credit union. So in the daytime I was a teller, you know what I'm saying? At nights I was working part-time in radio. So before I got to V100, I actually used to work for 98.3. So I used to work for 98.3.
That's what's up.
Yeah, part-time. And then I worked they had a sister station at the time called Energy 106.9. So I was part-time there overnight. And my shift was like midnight to like 5 in the morning. Nobody listening to me. But that was my part-time shift or whatever. So I would do that on weekends. And then during the week was doing my 9 to 5 job and then still recording and doing music. So like at the end of like 2015, the manager at that time was like, yo, for the 2016 year, we don't got no budget for your show. We gonna pull it. And then I'm like, bro, I'm only on for 3 to 5 hours a day. Like, I ain't making no money, you know what I'm saying? But he's like, we gonna pull the budget. Like, we not gonna have that shift no more. So that was my show at Energy. They pulled it. At 98.3, I used to just fill in for people. So if you out, somebody sick, I just come fill in a part-time. Like, I ain't have a real gig or a real show. So I would fill in. The manager at that time was like, yeah, I heard they finna pull you from over there. She like, right now, I ain't really got nothing for you. Like, you know what I'm saying? So basically they was like, you're not fired. You still work here, right, but you ain't got no show. Right. So I'm like, damn. So at the end of the year, I do my last show. It's a wrap, right? So we going into 2016. I'm kind of just like, damn, what am I about to do? I really don't want to keep working my 9 to 5 at all. But, you know, most of us, we got to do what we got to do to get to where we're trying to be. Right. That was paying my bills. But I really wanted to either focus on the music or I want to pivot full time into the radio thing. So I'm like, damn, what I'm about to do. So I go back to my 9 to 5. I'm working. And the crazy thing is, a lady who I met when I was working at 98.3 in Energy, she had moved to Texas to take another gig, but she had paid attention to me. And she ended up telling Bailey Coleman, who at the time was the program director at V100, like, yo, it's a little dude over there that's talented, but he not being utilized. I think he would kill at V100. So I got a DM from Bailey like in 2016, like, asking me to holler at her, you know what I'm saying? So, and I don't think I publicly ever said this before. So
first time.
I guess you getting an exclusive, but yeah, Bells had DM'd me. So, you know, I DM'd her back or whatever. Long story short, we had a meeting, we had some conversations, and at the time, V100 didn't have anything full-time either. They only had what they call a production assistant. Now, for people who don't know about radio, production is pretty much like people who help make the commercials and things like that, or like imaging, which is when you listen to the radio and you hear like a Hot 105.7, V100 point, like, you know, you might hear like voice imaging or sweepers, what they call them, or like commercials, stuff like that. You have people who do production. So they had a main guy, but they needed a production assistant. I learned how to do commercials when I was over there. So basically, when I got the job at the V, it wasn't even to be on radio. They was essentially like, we need somebody to do production. Right. So I took the gig to do commercials. But in the back of my head, I'm like, boy, if I get a chance, I'm trying to get on the radio. Yeah. So I got in the door just to be a production assistant. So my job was to come in Monday through Friday to help voice commercials, or I might have to edit them, chop them up or whatever. It was local and national. So that was my job when I first got in. And then within the next couple months, I got a part-time gig to host my weekend show, which was on Saturdays and Sundays, which was the business hours. And then a lot of people remember when I used to host Heat from the Street. Yeah. So that's really how I got on V100. I was just part-time working a couple days a week on the radio, and then during the week I was doing commercials at the joint.
Stand down, man. You was grinding, bro, because I remember all that. Damn, the Heat from the Streets, I forgot about that.
And mind you, I quit the full-time job to work at V100 part-time, which is crazy because, you know, most people, you're not going to quit no full-time gig to work part-time. But that's how hungry I was and how much I wanted to just take a leap of faith and bet on myself. So I quit the 9 to 5 to work at the V part-time, and Bailey was totally against it. She like, boy, you better keep your full-time job. But I said, man, I can't fully be the best version of myself to you if I'm over there. And I'm like, at some point, I got to take a risk. I'm like, I got a college degree. I know I can go find another job, but I ain't always going to be in this moment, in this space and time to want to do this. So I quit my 9 to 5, and I worked at V100. So a lot of people didn't know back then, when I first was there, bro, I ain't even had no benefits. I was part-time, no contract, no nothing. I was over there winging it for like a year and a half until I earned a full-time contract and then was able to get my whole show.
Oh, man, that's dope, man. Shout out to you, bro, for staying down. And that shows something, too. Like, you got to take the risk and stay down and just wait your turn. You got to take those small roles and all that to, like, you know, just show them, like, you know, I'm in a door. I'm just willing to be in a door to work my way up.
Want something? For real.
Exactly. And that's what that was like. Like, how was it being over there? And I also noticed that you had left. Like, what was that situation that led to you leaving?
Yeah. So I was there for pretty much 4 years, and overall, man, it was a dope experience because that's where I really found my groove. You know what I'm saying? Like, was doing radio prior, but like I said, them late hours, nobody really was listening to me and knew what was popping. V100 pretty much gave me the opportunity to put me in front of people, even though you're on the radio. But I started being out in the city more. I was hosting events, doing events, popping out. It helped grow my brand. So I'm forever grateful to Bailey, to Reggie, they're my OGs. They believed in me, gave me a lot of opportunities. You know what I'm saying? From hosting and networking and interviewing people and just giving me positions. I appreciate that. So overall, it was a dope experience. But at the same time, we was owned by iHeart, and as a company, that's the number one radio company in the country. And then who I work for now, Odyssey, we number 2. So iHeart is huge, but they gonna make corporate decisions that at a local level we might not agree with. So I didn't leave V100. I got laid off. No. So I was a part of a huge layoff at 2020, right before COVID and everything got crazy. For whatever reason, they decided to do these budget cuts. And I was one of the people that got cut nationwide, you know what I'm saying? So when it happened, I was floored because I felt like, shit, I had bust my ass and worked so hard to get to that point. And then for the rug to get pulled up under me, and it had nothing to do with me. It wasn't like I've messed up. It was yo, we just gonna make the decision. So at that time, I was floored. Then you go into COVID, the whole world stopped. So I'm over here upside down. I don't know what's about to happen. So yeah, the V100 thing, I'm not bitter. I'm not mad at nobody because nobody at V100 did anything to me. Like I said, the corporate side of things is what happened. My local side, they didn't want me to go. It was a corporate decision. So, but you know what? Everything happens for a reason. And you know what I mean? It ended up being a blessing in disguise, to be honest, because at a certain point, I think my growth would have been capped at V100. I might have hit a ceiling at a certain point where it might have not been anywhere else for me to go, even though I enjoyed the opportunities there. But I always saw more for myself anyway, so it was a blessing in disguise. So when I got laid off, I was on ice, man, for 10 months. But I was under contract at the time, so I had a severance package. So they had to pay me a certain amount of money for a certain amount of time. I had endorsements and different deals, so I had certain bread coming in, and then I had to collect unemployment or whatever. So I was just on ice, bro, not knowing if I was going to leave the city, if I was going to try to do something else. But when you're in radio, they got these things called non-compete clauses. So when you're in any form of media, a lot of times you cannot work in the media for a certain for a certain amount of time because of your contract. So I couldn't even take another gig. So not only is the world stopped, I can't take another gig because I got a non-compete clause. So it was kind of rough for a minute, you know what I'm saying? But again, things work out how they supposed to, and the Lord works in strange, mysterious ways. The fall of 2020 is when I got the opportunity to go to High 105.7 and help launch a brand new station in the city.
And that's dope, man. You're doing a good job right now. Y'all doing good over there, and y'all rocking out, man. Now, let me ask you about working at a radio station and everything like that. I'm sure you have a lot of artists to be trying to give you their music and stuff like that. Give you their music and stuff like that and want you to break their record. How does that work? And if that does work, with a radio station, just explain the whole process of that.
I mean, I say, to answer the first part of your question, yeah, of course, artists want to holler at you and give music. I would just say this, for anybody, man, approach and how it's not what you do, is how you do things. And whether you trying to approach me, another personality or DJ in the city, or people outside of the market or on social media, approach is everything, bro. You have to know how to talk to people, and what you saying and how you saying it could rub a person the wrong way. Everybody who thinks they're great at something, has something to offer, wants it to be heard or seen, which is understandable. But also you have to understand people are people too. And if you sitting down, you eating, or you doing X, Y, and Z, would you want somebody to come up to you and, you know what I mean? So it's it's about approach. Don't walk up to somebody and just start rapping. Don't just start handing people stuff or being or just DMing people being yo, I'm the hottest so in the city, you need to fuck me. Bro, what we doing? You know what I'm saying? That approach is not going to work for anybody. First and foremost, man, greet a person. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to slide in the DM, at least be hey, man, how you doing, bro? I'm such and such. I'm an artist, and I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to get music to you. Don't just send nobody no links or stuff you know what I mean? That just, to me, that's just common sense. Right. I wouldn't do that to when I'm trying to get interviews. You know what I mean? Like, I don't just slide in artists or actors or comedians DMs, just be like, hey dog, you need to fuck me. No, I'm like, excuse me, man, like, what's the best way to go about X, Y, Z? So I would just say, if somebody's trying to get music, at least approach a person and say, hello, this is what I'm trying to do. What's the best way to get this music to you? And then from there, if a person does respond, they'll let you know if they take unsolicited music or if there's a proper channel to send it to. So for us, we have something called Hometown Heat. Hot 105.7 plays 5 different local or independent artists from the city each month. We take 5 acts, and for 4 weeks, we put them in rotation. So the best thing to do to me is to get the music to Hometown Heat. And we have a tab on our website, hot1057mke.com. We got a Hometown Heat tab under our Connect page. You can submit the music, but most importantly, you got to follow the directions, right? So, for instance, the song got to be clean. Obviously, it's for the radio. It need to be in WAV format. It need to be an original record. Don't send 5 songs. You know what I'm saying? Like, send us 1 song, please, so we can review it and check it out. But those are just some of the things. So we, first and foremost, just speaking on myself, again, I'm a fan of hip hop music. I was an artist. So you got a person who understands your plight, first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? So you got somebody on your side who's inside, but at the same time, because I am inside and I work in the industry, hey, it's a way you need to maneuver if you're trying to get into certain rooms and you learn how to talk to people. So it's nothing wrong with having art and seeing people and want to interact and tell them you got music, but it's how you do it. It's like when I meet somebody, I'm not just like, hey bro, I'm in radio too. Hey dog, I interview people too. I got a show too. It's like, whoa, what are you doing? It's a way you got to maneuver. And I get it. You might not have access to these people all the time, so you might be excited to. But again, then you might not get the response or reaction you want from a person. Now they're a hater. Now you talking bad on them. Yeah. But think about, what did you do or how did you handle yourself? And if you would have did it differently, you might have got a better result. But as far as artists, man, I support artists. I want to see artists thrive. I want to give artists platforms. So that's why we have Hometown Heat. It's, to me, an elevated version of Heat from the Street. Heat from the Street we only could play an artist, 8 Saturday. I had a 30-minute segment where I could play some local artists. That was tough. Everybody was submitting, trying to get those slots. Now we have it to where, in this situation, we pick 5 artists for each month and give you rotation. So Monday through Friday between 7 and 10 p.m. we play a local artist every hour. On the weekends after 11 in the morning, every hour something local's playing. So that's a bigger opportunity for those who are serious about their music. You know what I mean? So that's the best way to get music to me. As far as individually, if I have relationships with people and they want to reach out and they want to say, hey bro, would you listen to this, or et cetera, et cetera. Or when I have time, I'm a fan. So if I got time to listen to your music, you ask me my feedback and my opinion, absolutely. But it's hard for me to sometimes listen to industry music. I don't have the time or the capacity to always listen to full projects from even well-known or established artists. So that means I'm not going to have the time per se to always sit down and listen to local music. But when I have the time to listen to music, or if I just am a fan in general of somebody, or I find your music by listening to it, like, I'm tapped in as much as I can be.
Right, man. That's dope, bro. Y'all heard it here first, man. Like, you gotta approach people the right way. You know what I'm saying? I know we all, I've been in those shoes before, being a hunky artist, but it's always about respect. Always about respect. You gotta lead with respect with whatever you do. You know what I'm saying? You know how many people out here saying, yo, I'm the coldest and all this and that. Come on now, like, it's a different approach to it, man. So y'all make sure y'all take heed in what he said and get y'all records out here the right way.
But that's like you with your platform.
Yeah.
Imagine somebody wanting to get interviewed to get on your platform. It's a way they should approach. If you don't seek them out, and they trying to get on your show, you have to figure out a way to filter things. You can't, first and foremost, you can't have everybody on your platform. It would be impossible. So you have to figure out what's the best method. And sometimes people weed themselves out. Process of elimination. Yeah. So same with me as a media platform. I can't play everybody. I can't interview everybody. But how do you help yourself? Yeah. How you approach people, being professional, like having the thing, and then you let your work speak for itself. Because whether I like your music or not, that's not the purpose, unless you're asking me specifically, what do you think of this? In reality, my opinion, and let me say this for real, my opinion of your music don't matter if you're just trying to get to the platform. Like, I don't like all the music that's mainstream that's played on the radio. So that doesn't matter. It's like, are you doing what needs to be done to try to get your music showcased? It's a different conversation if you're judging a competition or somebody specifically saying, hey, bro, what you think of such. That's a different question. But if you just like, hey, how do I get my music to this platform? My opinion of your music doesn't matter as long as A, is it professionally mixed and mastered? Is it radio edited, etc.? Like, did you follow the guidelines? Me liking or not liking a song, I never allow that to infringe upon me trying to get it into the hands of the place it's supposed to get to. My personal opinion is not going to affect a person. I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm not blocking or stopping things because I like or don't like something.
Right. Let me ask you this: with streaming and stuff like that from other platforms and iTunes, Spotify, and all that, is radio still the place to go for an artist like who's local? Like, should they want to get their stuff played, or should they try to like?
I think no matter how much the world is changing, as long as radio still exists, man, people always gonna want to be on the radio, bro. Like, I don't care if they independent, they mainstream. Who don't want to have their song on the radio? You know what I mean? Unless you're just not making records for the radio. You know, you're like, I'm underground. I don't need that type of look. But if you, the average artist, whether you making commercial music or not, you know what I mean? Like, you would like your song to be played on the radio. Like, I don't know nobody who wouldn't want to get a look. You know what I'm saying?
Good waking up hearing your song in rotation.
So, as much as people might be like, oh, I don't listen to the radio no more. I don't listen to the radio. And that's cool. You don't have to listen to the radio. But trust me, hundreds of thousands and millions of people still listen to the radio because we're still employed. And nationwide, you have radio stations everywhere. Even though you have streaming, even though you have satellite, you know, you got internet radio, you got podcasts and things like that. There's way more platforms now than ever. But radio still has a place. And it shouldn't be the number one focus. It shouldn't be the number one priority for any artist. But if you are trying to get yourselves on the radio in your city or other places, you're not wrong because it still is a platform.
Right. Let me ask you this. With people making podcasts and stuff like that, does that like do radio personalities and stuff like you yourself, do y'all get offended, or do y'all feel like people think they can just do this when we put work in doing this?
No, I mean, it's levels to it. Like podcasting has become, to me, podcasting is the new rap game.
Yeah.
Like, remember at one point where like everybody wanted to rap?
Yeah.
Everybody want podcast now. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like a lick now. My problem is this with anything. If there's no passion, there's no commitment, there's no love to it. That's my only problem. Same with hip hop. Why are you doing it if you don't have passion for it? You don't have love for it. If you don't care about the craft and the art. If you rapping just to get a bag or just to get some bras or just to shine just because you can, to me, that's crazy. Like, rap because you want to rap, even if I don't agree about your subject matter. Like, you should love what you're doing and respect what came before you, respect the landscape of what it is, and then put the work in. So same with podcasting. If you was an athlete, why would you be like, oh, I don't hoop, I don't love the game, I'm just trying to get a bag? Right. That's crazy. That's, you know what I'm saying? Or like doing anything just to get a bag, except for your 9 to 5. Right. You know what I mean? If you doing something, at a certain point, you should have a passion and love for them and try to be the best at it. So with podcasting, my problem is just when everybody just doing them just to do them, right? I'm going to just grab a microphone, I'm going to hop in front of a camera, I'm going to record myself, and we just going to have a pod. And it's levels to it. And you will see that no matter what you're doing, if you want to be the best at something, you got to put the work in and you got to take it serious. So people, as far as in radio, we don't have a problem with podcasting because some radio people podcast. Yeah. I knew about podcasting before it was a way. When I was in college and I had my radio show, 2 years in, they started creating podcasts for us where they was uploading our shows to the website. We was on the wave before it was a wave. So podcasting can be dope. And when it's done right, it's an amazing thing. But when you just got people hopping in front of microphones just for clickbait or just trying to go viral, that's when it's like, man, it's watered down and it ain't no real love to it. And that's the same to me with music.
Yeah, I feel you, man. You got to have a passion for whatever you do. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to do something for a quick buck, man. Come on, you got to have your morals, man. So comedy, you into comedy now too as well. How's that going?
Man, it's crazy. If you would have asked me, bro, like 5 years ago. No, hell, if you would ask me 3 years ago, would I be doing stand-up comedy? I would have told you, hell no, bro. Like, it's crazy how life works, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, as a kid, I always was a silly kid, you know what I'm saying? Even when I was rapping, I might have skits and stuff on the mixtapes or having fun behind the sets and stuff, but I never thought about standing on stage trying to make people laugh for a living. But I guess it's been natural because even on the radio, a lot of people had told me before, like, yo, you make me laugh, bro, you funny on the radio. I never thought about doing it for real though, but for the almost 2 years straight now, I've been doing stand-up comedy. Man. And it's been an amazing ride, man. Getting a chance to open up for national comedians, getting a chance to go to New York, go to Jersey, taking second place in a comedy competition, rocking the Improv here in Milwaukee, rocking different shows around the city, and it's been crazy, bro. Getting respect from real comedians who've been doing it for years, and then making people laugh, man, and making people feel good. It's been crazy.
Right, that's dope. I know that's definitely a different lane from being an artist. but like you kind of got like that experience of hopping on the stage in front of people now.
You'd be surprised, like you said, it's different, but you'd be surprised like how many parallels there are. Like for really everything I've been doing in my life, right? It involves this. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know what even right now, I don't know what my full purpose is supposed to be. I don't know what I'm supposed to do in life, but I know it got something to do with communicating, something to do with a microphone, right? Because every aspect of me, rapping, radio, comedy, these are all forms of being on a microphone and interacting with people. So even though comedy is completely different from rapping and being on radio, they all bleed over to some aspect. Like you said, I'm on a stage. No matter what you do, you have to be able to be comfortable, be confident, command that stage. So whether I was rapping, doing comedy, I'm in radio, I have to be able to engage people. So there are some similarities when I'm on stage doing comedy. Obviously, I'm not dropping bars, but having jokes. Same way you got to remember your records, your verses. I have to remember my jokes. Yeah. I have to know timing and pace. I got to know how to read a crowd. I got to know how to, if I'm opening up for a comedian, same as a rapper. You open up for a major artist, you got to set the tone and bring the energy so when that person comes out, they can. So there's some similarities for sure, even though trying to make a person laugh versus trying to get somebody nod their head and to sing along is different. And I would say the biggest difference is people are more receptive to unknown comedians than unknown artists. Yeah, that's what I've noticed. If you're an unknown rapper, a lot of times like, who is it? You know, right. When you're a comedian, it's the same way, but they more so willing to be like, all right, let's see if he's funny. Whereas, you know, with rappers, a lot of times, if people don't know you, they don't want to hear you. They don't want to hear your music
like that. And I give you a hard time, man. Right. Have you had a bad show before?
I wouldn't say a bad show, but I've definitely had shows or moments where you like, that wasn't it. That's a part of the game. You know what I'm saying? You might have a situation where you know that you know this is funny and you think it's gonna hit, and you go out there and you do it and you like, damn, I ain't laughing at that. Right. Or they might laugh at a part you didn't think they was gonna laugh at. The part you thought they was gonna laugh at, they just sit there and look at you. Right. So I've definitely had some moments on stage where I'm like, hey, okay, this wasn't a good night. Yeah, absolutely. But as far as just having completely like bad sets or I'm bombing or I'm getting booed or people, nah, that hasn't happened. But you definitely had those moments where you like, yeah, tonight wasn't my night. And it's just like sports or anything. Like you go out there and you maybe didn't have your best game. But the beauty is every day you're alive, you get another chance. And the next time you go on stage, you take your cues and your pointers from that one, and you go out there and you do their best the next time.
Man, that's facts, man. Like I said, and also having to write that material down, and like you said, it ain't like music. You can't go out there with a song and rap over it or something like that. You got to really memorize this, and also you got to dig deeper to like, man, what is funny? Like, how can I try to make somebody laugh is like crazy.
It's a skill set, but again, because of my experience in hip hop, I'm gonna be honest with you. Radio and rapping helped me be a better comedian. Yeah, because one thing about me with like rapping, I always love the freestyle. So some freestyle elements come into comedy because you got to be able to adapt, right? Like you just said, sometimes a joke you pre-wrote might not work. So you gonna stand that bag or can you pivot? Sometimes you got to go off the top of the head. You know what I mean? Like freestyling, you have to know how to adapt to the room. And then being in radio, like I learned timing on radio, like how to get in and out of songs, pacing, interviewing. Like, so some of those elements from radio I take and put into my stand-up. Some elements of me being a hip-hop artist I put into myself when I'm doing the stand-up. So sometimes my whole life is like bleeding over. And then I went to school for communication. So it's like,
oh yeah, you in the right lane for something, man, with a microphone, bro. And it's crazy how, because you know you might start off doing one thing, but then it leads you to another path, or God to put you on something different you didn't see yourself doing, bro. That's the amazing thing about life, man. My final question, man, is what's next for you?
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, for real, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna give you an elaborate or like fake answer. I don't know, bro. In this moment, I'm trying to just embrace things and walk in my purpose and try to figure out how to be the best version of me. So right now, man, I'm just focused on being a dope comedian for real, like taking it serious, being the best version of myself as a comedian, continue to be a dope radio personality, to elevate myself, work on my interviewing skills, continue to grow the station. Personally, just want to be a better person than anything that I do for a living. When I go, bro, if my legacy is just, oh, that was the dude who's on the radio, or, you know, that's the dude I seen making jokes, then I feel like I failed. I want to be a better person in anything that I do. So what's next? To be honest, I don't know, but I want to just continue to evolve and grow And like I said, if you would ask me previously, would I be doing stand up? Nah. Like when I went to New York to Rock New York in April, if you would ask me if I was going to perform in New York, I would have thought I was going to be rapping. There's no way I would have thought that I would be at the Copacabana in New York doing stand-up comedy, but I was. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I don't know what's next, but I'm just trying to embrace and enjoy this journey, bro, and just continue to be the best version of me, and just see wherever everything else goes.
You know what I think is going to happen next? I think it's going to end up getting into some movies.
Man, well, I
think so, bro.
That's something that I would like to do. I started taking acting classes last year after interviewing Bill Bellamy. We had a good convo. Mm-hmm. I had thought about some stuff, and he put the battery in my back. So I completed 2 semesters of classes at Milwaukee Rep. I got 1 more semester to finish before I get my certificate. I mean, like long-term goals, I definitely know things I want to do, like as far as television, like definitely want to have my own talk show, definitely want to host game shows, like that type of stuff. But as far as truthfully knowing what is next, I don't know, but I appreciate that though.
Yeah, for sure, man. I can see that happening, man. You already you're on the path for meeting celebrities and interviewing celebrities and then having your own show on the radio. I feel like God lining you up, bro. Like he's lining you up and preparing you for even more greater things, bro. Like
appreciate
just
it.
For sure. Just think about what's under your belt: radio, music. You know what I'm saying, communications and comedy now. Like I said, I feel like comedy's going to land you a role into a movie, and it might start off with a comedy movie, or even might even get into you know what I'm saying, even get into some more serious acting and stuff like that. And you already taking classes, so God definitely lining you up, man. I just want to say, man, I'm thankful for you coming up here, and I appreciate you, bro, because I've been watching you do your thing for a while, bro, and we used to always chop it up, bro, and you always gave me game and just always show love and stuff, so I appreciate that. For even watching the platform and just showing love to the platform.
Congrats on what you've been growing with this, man. I see all the different artists you have coming in here. I see how you growing as you learn how to interview people and doing different things and having your hands in this. And consistency is key. You've been consistently doing it, and that's half the battle. So I want to salute and give you your flowers because thank you for inviting me. But continue to keep grinding and working with this platform. Bro.
Yeah, bro. And like I said, honestly, I'm not just saying this because you right here, like people like you, Reggie Brown, and just people on the radio and stuff I be watching, it gives me that character, or just not a character, but it brings out something in you to ask these questions, to engage with your audience and stuff like that. So like I said, I watch y'all, man. I think it's dope, man. So, man, much love to you, bro. Appreciate you for coming. I wish you the best of luck on your journey, bro. Like I said, God got some things for you, man. Man. Let the people know where they can find you at.
Yeah, man, on IG, you can type in Promise, I Promise. On our Facebook, Promise. YouTube channel is Morning Grind Promise, where you can check out, some of the interviews. And like he mentioned, sometimes interview celebrities and different people. I got a lot of those posted online. And, man, just in the city, look out. The next comedy show September 3rd, October. Look, my brain is all over the damn place. Cool. August 3rd, my bad. August 3rd, I'm gonna be downtown Milwaukee doing Soberfest. There's an event, the 4th annual Soberfest event, which is dope too, because they do an event in Milwaukee, which is a city known for drinking and turning up. They do an event called Soberfest, which encourages people to come out and have fun without alcohol, without drugs, and for those who might be struggling and dealing with recovery. So that's the next joint I got in the city. August 3rd, I'll be performing at Soberfest. But yeah, man, just tap in with me and you already know it's not a threat, it's a promise.
Man, y'all heard him, man. It's not a threat, it's a promise. Y'all heard that voice all on your radio, man. Y'all make sure y'all tap in with him, man. Like I said, man, I appreciate you for coming on the show, man. Rick Taylor, Promise. We out.